Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to another day of Math 7. We have a test tomorrow for Unit 6, so this is our test review. We've got 2 pages of guided review to do together, and then we have an independent practice that you are going to complete on your own after this. So, we are just basically doing a quick run through of everything we've talked about during Unit 6. So proportional relationships, non-proportional relationships, additive, multiplicative. Moving on from that, we've got slope and intercept, etc. So we are just going to do a quick run through of 4 problems here that will kind of encompass everything that we've talked about over this unit. So for part A here, we are given an equation y is equal to 2x. So for this, instead of a written representation, we are going to create a table. So x and y. So what we want to do is test some things. So 0, 1, 2, 3, some pretty easy numbers to test. So what we're going to do is plug these x's into our equation and see what we get for y. So when I plug in 0 into this equation, we get 2 times 0. So y then will equal 2, or 0, 0. 0 times 2 is 0. Now we're going to plug in 1. So 1 times 2, that's going to give us our 2. That's the one I thought. And then we're just going to keep on going here. So 2 times 0 is, 2 times 2. We're plugging in 2. We're done with 0. 2 times 2 is going to give me 4. And then finally, 3 times 2 is going to give me 6. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and, well, we can do these, let's go ahead and do these in order. So we're given the equation here. So remember, this is in the form y equals m times x. So what is our m in this scenario? Well, it's going to be 2. So our slope, or our m, is equal to 2. And our y-intercept, something we remember about multiplicative relationships, they always go through the origin. So our y-intercept will be 0. All right, so now, now we're going to move on to our graph. So what we want to do is just plot the points that we gave in our table. So x comma y, remember? So 0 comma 0 is going to be that origin right there. 1 comma 2, we're going to move over 1 and go up 2 right there. 2 comma 4, over to 2, up to 4. We don't have 3 comma 6 on our graph here, but we have enough to create our nice straight line that will cross through the origin. All right, now is this additive or multiplicative? Well, it's following that multiplicative relationship form, so that's pretty easy to see when we have an equation. When we're not adding or subtracting anything, we're multiplying something, so it's going to be multiplicative. And then remember that multiplicative relationships are always proportional, and additives are never proportional. All right, so once again, our written will become a table. Well, we don't have an equation now. We're given a graph to work from. So let's go ahead and start pulling points from our graph. That'll be easy to do. So x and y. So let's go ahead and pick some points. I'm going to pick this guy here, and let's go 1 from the negative side. There we go. All right, so my x's go from -1 right here to 0 right here to 1 right here and to 2 right here. So I've got 4 points. So we're going to go our x's from small to big. All right, so when x is equal to -1, get rid of these so we don't get confused. I was just showing us the number of points we had there. So when x is equal to -1, what is my y equal to? Well, if I go left 1 for negative and then I go up 2, well, that's going to be equal to 2. When x is 0, y is equal to 3. When x is 1, y is equal to 4. And when x is 2, y is equal to 5. All right, so what is my slope here? Remember, slope is always rise over run. So pick 2 points. We're going to go with this guy here and this guy here. And we are going to see how much we rise to get from there to there, which is 1. And how much we run to get from there to there, which is also 1. So my slope is 1. And my y-intercept, so this is where I'm running into the y-axis, that's going to be this point right here. So my y-intercept is going to be 3. Now, for an equation, it's pretty easy. So we've just got to plug in our m and our b. Y equals, well, m is 1, so I don't really have to write that because 1 times x is still just x. And then plug in my b plus 3. And there's our equation for that line there. Now, is this additive or multiplicative? So multiplicatives always go through the origin, right? And that means that additives will not. So this is indeed additive. We can also see that it's additive by looking at the equation that we made for it. We're adding something to it, so therefore it's additive. And remember, additive equations are never proportional. They are non-proportional because we do not get equal ratios when we divide our y by our x. All right, so in Canvas, this will be on the next file page. It'll be called Guided Practice 2. So we're going to move on here. They have a written representation. We are still going to make a table out of that, though. We kind of skipped written representations, which is okay. So we paid $1 less than our friend paid. So let's go ahead and start out with an equation from that. Y equals, well, do we know how much our friend paid for something? We don't really, right? So we're just going to call that x since we don't know it. And then $1 less than that x, well, anything we pick for x minus 1 will be $1 less. So now let's go ahead and build our table. We're going to pick some x's and find out what the y's are. So let's go -1, 0, 1, and 2. Easy ones to deal with. Whoops, sorry about that. So plugging in, -1 minus 1 will give me -2. 0 minus 1 will give me -1. 1 minus 1 will give me 0. And 2 minus 1 will give me 1. So, since we have built an equation from this, we can go ahead and see what our slope is. Well, slope is living out in front of the x. And we don't see anything there, which means there's kind of an invisible 1 hanging out there. So our slope is 1. Our rise is 1 and our run is 1, which we will see when we graph it. And our y-intercept is that second number there. Remember, this is in plus b form, so if we have a -1, don't forget that negative in our y-intercept there. All right, so let's graph the points we made. We've got -1, -2. We have got 0, -1. We have got 1, 0. And we have got 2, 1. And there is going to be my graph of this line. Is this additive or multiplicative? Well, once again, we can look at our equation and see that we are subtracting something, which means that it is an additive relationship. And keep in mind that additive relationships are never proportional. Alrighty, and finally here we're given the slope and the y-intercept. So let's start with, remember we're doing a table here. So let's start with the equation since we're given the pieces. So y equals, remember, slope is m, so that goes right before our x, 4x, and our y-intercept is 0. So I don't really need to write plus 0 because that's not going to change anything. So we just have y equals 4x. So once again, we are going to make a table. -1, 0, 1, 2, easy things to test. And then we're going to plug in and find out what we get for y. So when x is -1, 4 times -1 is y will be -4. When x is 0, 4 times 0 is 0. When x is 1, 4 times 1 is 4. And when x is 2, 4 times 2 is 8. So once we get these, if 8's a little bit too big to put on our graph, we don't really need to worry about it. So let's go ahead and graph our points now. So we've got -1, -4, 0, 0. We've got 1, 4, and then 2, 8 was too big to put on there, so we're not going to really worry about that right now. And then finally, to draw our nice, as straight a line as we can, I've got a nifty little tool here that lets me do that. All right, now is this additive or multiplicative? Well, we can tell from our graph it goes through the origin, so it's multiplicative, and also we can tell from our equation. This is 4 times x, so that is multiplicative. And is it proportional or non-proportional? Well, once again, looking at our graph, it goes through the origin, which makes it proportional. Proportional relationships will always go through the origin. And once again, it's multiplicative, so it is proportional, always. All right, and that's it for our guided practice today. So hopefully that should be enough to help you get through the independent work that is on the next page in Canvas. There's 2 PDFs to get through there. So go ahead and finish that up. As usual, take a photo and submit, and be ready for that test coming tomorrow. All right, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message on Canvas or an email, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. And I will talk to you guys on Monday to begin our new unit. All right, thanks and have a great day. Bye-bye.